Okay, what's up, everybody out there, or really for all the people who end up tuning in later. Um, okay, so today I'm gonna be playing a game called 80 Days. I know uh, some of you might be like, why aren't you playing Spider Man or expecting Spider Man? But for educational purposes, I kind of have to get through this game before I can go and play Spider Man. But Um, let me just double check, make sure stream is okay and all that. All right, I'm just testing my voice again. All right, I'm just testing my voice again. All right, visual seems to be okay. Audio seems to be okay. All right. Hopefully, the game audio itself is okay, but otherwise, okay. So I think I'm good and ready. Um, all right. So the game 80 days. Not really familiar with this game at all. Um, Yeah, I think before just a few weeks ago, this was really the first I've heard of this game, and as I alluded to earlier, I'm kind of playing for educational purposes, and so yeah, I really don't know what to expect of this game at all. I have no idea what it's about, what the gameplay is supposed to be like. Nothing. I This is the first I heard of it. From what I know, it was a game that came out just a few years ago, and it at first it came out for mobile phones, Android, iPhone, stuff like that, and then about a year later, it came out for Steam. So, um, and that's the version that I'm playing, the Steam version. So, um, so this is how I'm gonna be spending my evening. I'm hoping to get through all, if not most of it tonight. It did seem like it wasn't, it or it didn't have to be that long of a game, but we'll see. So, upon even starting this game, this is what first came up. Hold on, quick, something. Okay. So yeah, so this is like the first screen that came up, other than telling me who made this game and all that. It says here I've entered into the service of a new gentleman, and then I guess I picked that. It would seem he is a gambling man. Alright, not really much to the settings. That's alright. Alright. Monsieur Phileas Fogg returned home early from the Reform Club and a newfangled steam carriage. Besides, I helped him down. Alright, now what? Do I pick London again? No? Okay. Oh, alright. I helped him down. The iron lung steam-driven horses clattered away. Passepartout, said he, we are going around the world, monsieur. Very good, monsieur. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong thing. That's what I'm doing wrong. Alright, oh, okay, so these are options I have to pick. Around the world, monsieur? I asked, utterly astonished. We shall circumnavigate the globe within 80 days. He was quite calm as he proposed this wild scheme. We leave Paris on the 8:25 in an hour. But I have not prepared. I have not yet prepared. You are in jest. This was a shocking. Okay. Alright, but I have not prepared, I said wretchedly, quickly trying to organize a list of necessary items in my mind. Then do it now. Pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. There is not a moment to waste. You, Passepartout, now have funds. Your character is now steadfast. Alright. So this is how we're gonna start this. We're just gonna head, straight into this, apparently. As far as my character goes, anyways. Quickly collect their things and we'll be off. Oh, and there's like a timer, so... Alright. There's just a moment to seize anything further I thought might be useful for our trip. Wax cylinder, pocket, altimeter. Air sickness, a psychological and altimeter can be most reassuring. Evening jacket, European shipping timetable, and playing cards. Alright. Oh, okay, so this is what's in the apartment thing. Alright. Describe remarks describe a recording of a symphony. Doesn't look like it could really pack much. I mean, I assume I'm gonna need extra clothes. Wolfing. I don't know how necessary these things might be. This sounds like it might be useful. Part of the air traveler set one. I don't know if this is really necessary, but sure should help us negotiate times over clash journeys. Alright, so I guess these are routes that I'm aware of or have access to, probably because of that map that I took with me. Maybe. I don't know. Alright. Then let's make haste. Why'd you do that? Okay. Can I go there if I wanted to? Not trying to. The guard's van has space for one suitcase, which is suffice. This looks like a bearable experience. Oh, okay, so it looks like I could get more suitcases, but you know, then I have to be, you know, so I can fit more stuff, but then I have to be mindful for, you know, if I go travel on I guess trains or maybe even certain trains, don't know yet. You know, I can only have one suitcase, so I'm going to have to be, you know, really careful like that. Mechanical horses raced past Piccadilly Circus and Pall Mall faster than a team of thoroughbreds. Even so, the whistle of the 825 was blowing as we pulled up to Charing Cross Station. We raced along the concourse, threw ourselves aboard as a second whistle shrieked its warning. We barely had time to take our seats before the guard rapped smartly on the compartment door. He held out a hand. Tickets, please. I pretended to have lost them, hanging down one pocket and then the other, and was about to start digging through our suitcase when Sir Fogg interrupted my touching performance. My valet is trying to express that we were in too much haste to purchase tickets. Non-tangent. I'm just gonna say that. Which was not at all my meaning and left me rather endowed my master's interpretive abilities. He was not a particularly theatrical man, it must be said. You may purchase them for me, the guard was saying, though it is more expensive, I'm afraid. £85, please. I don't know if money... Oh, yeah, because there's money up here. Yeah, let's argue with him. Only displeased Sir Fogg. For their passport, will you pay the sum at once? He put in coldly, and remunerate this man for his patience. I handed over £85 and then smiled a thin smile from one working man to another. The guard gave me our tickets and slid the compartment door shut behind him with a pneumatic hiss. Your funds have gone down somewhat. Your relationship with Fogg has deteriorated. Cool. Okay, so I didn't know that was a thing to be concerned about. Met your service on Sir Fogg. The bumbling Passer Partout. I guess we'll talk about money. This journey will be most expensive, Monsieur. Indeed, we can earn a little from buying and selling our possessions as we travel. But tell me, Monsieur, what is the purpose of our journey? I have made a hefty wager, and I do not intend to lose. London smog gave way to rolling hills and the pastures of the Kentish countryside, still untouched by the hand of technological advancement. Monsieur Fogg, read his paper whilst I repack your bags. Oh, or we pass the day inside. Thrown together in haste and confusion, as afternoon turned inexorably to evening, I discovered that my master was one of those gentlemen who broke their silence rarely, if at all. A guard rapped on our door a few miles before Dover. We were about to submerge, he warned. Take some people a bit funny, so watch out. Yeah, what do you mean submerge? I cried. This is the London to Paris Amphitrite Express, he explained, as though to a particularly dim-witted child. The submersible train, talk of all the London papers. This is the merchant. I must have missed it. I admitted Humble missed it, he said scornfully. Every inch of her has been examined and stamped with the artificer's seal. This is the world's only bathyscaphe locomotive. I could not help a shiver. I pressed my face to the window glass. As the fins above the amphitrite's wheels extended with a hydraulic hiss, night fell, and we plunged past the end of the track into the freezing water of the English Channel. Relations with fog have improved slightly. The amphitrite plowed through the water overnight and splashed up into wider gauge French tracks at Calais as dawn broke. Do you have a route in mind, Monsieur? I began to reconsider what we might. I asked as the water of the channel dried from the compartment windows. I am as yet undecided, my master admitted. The new canal has sped up the shipping route from Suez to Bombay, though perhaps we could take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia. Surely not Bombay, I exclaimed. We shall certainly wilt in the scorching heat. Then we would do well to buy hats and linen trousers, he replied. There are other alternatives. We may also travel over land and across the Black and Caspian seas. But which is safest? When Sir Frog raised an eyebrow. There's no place in the world which is not safe for an Englishman, he said coolly and with great finality. Parbleu, I scarcely knew what to think. We arrived at the Paris Gare du Nord just after 1 o'clock. Automaton porters lifted our luggage and then our persons into the platform with long, delicately filigreed iron arms. Paris, city of my heart, I was home, but not to stay. Alright, so far this, kind of a groovy game. Interesting. So, you know, I don't... Okay, I was gonna say, so, you know, I'd rather be playing Spider-Man, but if I have to play this, it's alright. Alright, so market. My favorite market. And time is just going while I have to... Alright, we took a hotel for a night. We'll be comfortable here once the far remark, but traveling overnight will often be more efficient. So we must board the longest journeys available. We're not travel where it's not possible. Certainly, he replied. Still, surrounds of the Hotel Ritz were most enjoyable. Let's explore. We had a few hours to spare. Asked Mr. Frog if I might enjoy my city, for we had to leave. Indeed, and should you learn anything of note, be sure to relay it. I nodded and headed into town. The talk on the streets was of one thing only, an enormous, elegant oval stadium constructed upon the green fields of Champ de Mars and containing the technological marvels, art, amusements, parks, and milling crowds of the World's Fair of 1872. I got an achievement. I ventured inside the grand illuminated pavilions of the exposition. I went west towards the airship hangar, past a booth with a husband and wife pair selling panoramic hot air balloon rides to eager tourists. I inquired as to their hourly rate, wondering if perhaps the balloon could be encouraged to go a little way east as well and contribute to our great journey. £80 for a half-hour flight, the man responded. Yeah, because I mean, for 85, I got a whole train ride, and for a half hour. But then again, I mean, how far does that half hour go? You know. I gaped as ready. The man shrugged. We are the only balloonists here today. Are you willing to miss out on the experience of a flight over Paris? I am going around the world, I replied. I hope for much more impressive sights in the days to come. The man nodded and moved on to the next punter with great swiftness. I regarded the airships that filled the hangar behind him. There were a huge number on display from all over the world, and my eye was immediately caught by African-made England balloon, the gilded Egyptian Ifrit-class airship, clad four-propeller, bulky coal gas-powered Ottoman. Okay. I'm just gonna pick this one for no other reason. Just sounds cool. The gilded Egyptian Ifrit-class airship. So I'm just picking because it sounds cool. Painted all over with stylish poppies and feathers, it resembled nothing more than a vast flying sarcophagus. Do people really fly in such things? I asked an exhibitor. Indeed, hundreds of them do, and every day. They replied with a booming laugh. They say the skies of Arabia are crisscrossed with the trails of the Egyptian ships. Perhaps one day, Monsieur Frog and I would find ourselves flying such craft. I returned to the exhibition center, my thoughts turning with clouds and engine rotors. Avenues sprawled into every direction between between the inviting illuminated pavilions of the exposition. Arthur was replacing an arc light which had burned out. She first disconnected the strange machine powering the lights. It had a spinning iron wheel which was wound around with a series of armature coils. What is that device, Artificer? I asked politely, my eyes staying strained to the copper lily pin which proclaimed her profession. It's a bleeding nuisance, it's what it is, the Artificer grumbled in a thick Yorkshire accent. These gam machines are finicky beasts. Yeah, gram machines. Gram machines, I inquired. Well, it's a... Oh, never mind. She waved my question away. It's a steam engine, alright, only it doesn't make steam. Will that do? I hate explaining this stuff to laymen. I retreated hastily, not at all in terror of her irate tone. The harshness of her tone was valied by her gentle touch as she unscrewed the arc light's globe of enameled glass and replaced the 2 carbon rods within. She reconnected the supply, and the 10 Yablokov candles connected in series lit up once more. They are miraculous, I breathed. The artificer snorted. Their hard work is what they are, miracles indeed, but her mouth softened into a small, proud smile. She looked at her pocket watch, cursed, and hurried off, dropping something as she went. I hurried after her to return it, and she thanked me. My medallion, I'll need that to get my lunch from the canteen. Thank you. I bowed in return. She giggled. Stop that, you'll make me blush. She rubbed the coin thoughtfully. I was given this for my work in Istanbul, you'll know. I made a very special automaton. I think it works as a driver now on the route up from Izmir. I think that's right. An automaton can drive, of course. Is that so strange? I can only shrug. Who knows what is normal in this modern world? I looked about me once more. Crowds of tourists jostled and heaved past, their eyes wide with wonder. I headed toward a red apple. I took a stroll down the Avenue of Nations, lined with buildings in the style of the nations of the world and manned by foreign delegates in national dress, although the newly formed German Empire was a... Oops. Shit. What'd I do? Accidentally right-clicked. How do I go back? Okay, whew. Alright. I was seeing the city had so recently conquered the Austrian... The Zulu Federation had built a replica village and brought a delegation of 400 diplomats and warriors, which was concerning the French soldiers guarding the exposition somewhat. Above the display was a fine ferrotype of their great emperor, Cetshwayo, in his place in Ulundi. One of the young impi warriors dropped his fierce look and winked brightly at a passing child, who erupted in shy giggles. One of his fellow soldiers caught me looking and tilted his spear in my direction with a glare. I turned away hurriedly. My feet were tiring, and the hour was growing late. I returned to Monsieur Frog, who was eating a meal of plain boiled beef ungaz. Did you enjoy the exposition? My master inquired diffidently, as though I had been out visiting an aged great aunt, having preferred a hearty meal in English newspaper. And I nodded. Will we travel by airship, do you suppose? I asked. I think it highly likely. He replied, they are expensive, but extremely fast. I dreamed that night of mechanical wonders and automatons with beautifully enameled faces, knowing little of the strange inventions and the stranger people I would soon encounter in my journey around the world. Your character is now organized. I didn't know that was a thing, but... Visit the bank, I'm a gentleman, they would extend me credit if required, he replied. But do you suppose I put my entire fortune into a carpet bag under your supervision? Did not answer. I regarded. Manager of the bank as we enter, a small man who greeted us with greedy enthusiasm. We wish to withdraw funds. We were told, I warn you, it may take some time. I don't know, I'm thinking I might be okay for now. Cannot afford even a single day, I declare. We swept out of the bank. Thankfully, our situation is not desperate. As declared, onwards. Alright, so let's depart. Alright, so I guess we got a few more routes. It's a matter of, well, I have 3... Is stuff moving? Oh, what the... No, stop it. Give me time to think, game. Nation's wonder should So, did I do it? I engaged another guest in conversation to learn what I could, learning that you could pick up beautifully made music boxes in Vienna that will sell for a fortune in Antalya. Most interesting snippet, relations with Fogs have grown slightly worse. Okay. We boarded our train at Gare de Lyon, which had opened only the previous week. The were staffed by automata, and cylinder phonographs installed throughout the station played La Marseillaise in triumph. We found a compartment and settled into plush seats, with complimentary glass of Provencal rose to grace the trip. I raised my glass to Monsieur Fogg. He tipped his own glass towards me courteously, but left the wine within untasted until dinner was served. Greetings, Monsieur. Good afternoon. My name is Alfred Dumont. I'm very interested in Nice. The Riviera has only just become fashionable because of the train. Is there a route from Nice to Venice? Yes, there is a regular private car service from Nice to Venice, but the journey is a tiring one. Is it possible to travel from Venice to Rome? Absolutely. One can drive by public carriage from Venice to Rome now. Anyway, I've worked this line since it opened. We're seeing more famous people these days. Is that so? Indeed. You and Monsieur Fogg are the most famous, of course. You know about Nice? Nice used to be quite run down, you know. Is it possible to go from Nice to Dubrovnik? What a question. Still, some buyers will pay well for woolen clocks. What more can you tell me about Rome? For instance, the quickest way to Rome from here is through Rome. The hours flew by, I spent them... Conversation hoping to find options for our next journey. Learning from a somewhat frenetic Viennese ragamuffin that the steamer journey from Aswan to Khartoum down the Nile was beautiful but seemed painfully slow. The train rattled on, arriving to Nice late in the evening. We stepped out to balmy autumn weather and a gentle murmur in the air. Ah, my friends, the sea. Plan? What does that mean? Oh. Long pebbled beaches of Nice were filled with Italians of one sort or another, a few protesting the loss of the city to France, and quoting Garibaldi with a great passion. I ignored them. While I strolled along the promenade watching the ships come and go from the harbor, since being seated back to the Bois, Nice had become a bustling hub of activity. Boats plied the waters daily, and there was talk of building a tram to link the hotels to the beaches and the casinos. I found a sailor to talk to and asked for advice about how we should proceed. He shrugged. There's cars to Venice and the boat to Rome. Depends where you want to go, of course. I agreed that was the sailing point, which... Oh. You're right, he frowned. Well, I wouldn't go to Rome if I were you. The people there aren't quite right, if you know what I mean. What was wrong with them? He mimed the chopping motion I did not understand, but refused to say more. I thanked and moved along. I approached one of the glitzy casinos, thinking I could perhaps earn a little money, but it seemed that Nice had gone up a long way in the world, and I was refused admission. Gentlemen and ladies only, Dorman said. No one of the lower classes. And where do the lower classes... Yeah, I demanded. He looked about him. I know a card game, he replied quietly, but the stakes are high. I gestured for him to tell me more. He said 500 to play down there. He nodded towards a set of basement steps leading to a service entrance under a casino. I thanked him and went below. The lair I found The lair found down there I will not describe at length. Suffice it to say that the surly-looking clientele, men and women both, were sat around the stained table, drinking rough whiskey as they played. I ventured a hand or two and was rapidly hustled into playing for longer. These fine fellows had clearly eaten the likes of me for breakfast in the past. I got out with my shirt still on, but 500 pounds poorer. Still, I did at least learn that you could pick up engine oil in Athens. You can sell for profit in Tehran. But it was perhaps the most expensive information I'd ever earned. My feet were tired. I murmured my goodbyes to the sea, and I knew to France and returned to my somewhat difficult master. Your funds have gone down significantly. Your character is now steadfast. I took a few hours to explore, investigating the various options for how we might continue our journey. I've never been partial to snuff myself, but I know gentlemen crazy for it. Okay, sorry about that. I was just handling life and things. And let's get back to the game. We boarded the Blue Line ferry, named after the successful train line through France, and found a place on its crowded stern to wave at the port as we departed. When I say, oh, okay, this is an option. Let's see. I say we. I do not. Why do people stand at the back of a boat when it's departing and not the front? I asked my companion, a young woman named Estelle, whom I had bumped into while hauling our cases up the ramp. She smiled sweetly. I think she answered in her gentle, slightly lisping tone, "Is because of what happened should you fall off." I looked over. You're most likely right, I answered, though I would prefer the outward looking view. You are an explorer, she replied. I tried not to be. She nodded but seemed disappointed by my answer. I want to be an explorer, she said. Imagine the whole world stretching out beneath your feet. Who knows what secrets it holds? Give me good food and cognac and I'm happy. But who knows what good food even is, she replied, until you have tried it all. I found such enthusiasm rather giddy that, or the roll of the sea made me stumble. We would be aboard for just one night. It was important to be comfortable. Greetings, Mademoiselle Estelle. Well, hello again, Monsieur. I need to know about Rome. I heard the Italian artificers fight openly against Papal forces. Apparently Rome is connected to Venice, is that right? On the subject of carriages, I've heard one can travel by hire carriage from Rhea to Muscat. A pinch of stuff, Mademoiselle Estelle? Why, yes. Okay. You tell me more about Venice? They say the whole city is a ship. According to my timetable, Venice is connected to Athens. You mentioned boats. I've been told one can travel by fisherman's boat from Vladivostok to Pyongyang, but the journey is a tiring one. Learn more about Pyongyang. Not just that, but you can pick up handheld mirrors in Pyongyang, extremely valuable in San Pedro. You tell me more about San Pedro. Also, you can obtain coneflowers in San Pedro. You can sell for profit in San Francisco. Mademoiselle Estelle met me in the restaurant, taking the seat opposite. I have worked it out, she announced cheerfully. What have you worked out? I asked. Who are you? I know your secret. I was taken aback. I cannot fathom what you mean, I replied. She pulled out a copy of the Times. Here she cried, folding it and lifting to my attention. To my astonishment, it was a headline about her journey. Phileas Fogg attempts round-the-world adventure. I shook my head, knowing my master would wish to maintain his anonymity. I have not heard of the story, but she would not be swayed. I, of course, would say that. Giddy with her discovery, she punched me on the arm. When exciting adventure. I shrugged. It has been quite simple so far. I'm glad to hear you have a long way still to go, she replied. Fancy my meeting Phileas Fogg himself. I paused. You're more dashing than a story made out, she continued excitedly. Wait until I tell my mother. Mademoiselle, I am not Phileas Fogg. Of course, I understand. She tapped the side of her nose and then triumphant made to get up. I'm sure you're in a hurry, so I won't keep you. I coughed gently. Perhaps to turn around the deck I suggested. I couldn't possibly, she replied, all afluster, and then we proceeded to do exactly that. Oh, we have a little health thing here. We arrived into Rome the next day and began to unload our cases when the captain stopped me. New regulations, he insisted, ordered by the new Italian regime. What regulations? You're traveling from England. Indeed so. The captain nodded, and you're required to sign this disclosure of artificer's material. He produced a long roll of paper, which I began to look over when young Mademoiselle Estelle appeared. Monsieur Fogg, she cried. I pretended not to have noticed. I looked up and waved a hand. I quickly introduced my master to her. What else could I do? Mademoiselle Estelle took a certain step back, glancing between us. My master's sharp, aquiline profile, my own rounded Gallic features. Mademoiselle, you wish to meet Monsieur Fogg? I said sympathetically. Here he is. She thought for a moment more than grinned. Oh, I understand. She said, very good. Mademoiselle, most excellent disguise, Monsieur, she replied, very clever. Then she chuckled to herself, stretched up to peck me on the cheek, and then hurried away in some excitement. Monsieur Fogg glanced at me. He nodded, and I smiled. Youth, I declared. He nodded a touch. Very good, he remarked. Relations with Fogg have improved slightly. Alright, awesome. I guess. I really have no idea what I'm doing in this game. So, oh, I guess I have to go to the market to sell something. What do I sell? Oh, okay, just like that. Yeah, there we go. What was everything else for? Valuable and affluent. Private hired drivers in the Middle East. I don't know if that's something I really need, but I might need this. Can I get rid of these maps? Like, you know, like now that I've seen the paths, like what happens if I get rid of them? Now I have to find out. Let me check something. Alright. Selling maps in 80 days. Alright, so it sounds like no, I lose the route. So I doubt I'm gonna need the drivers in the Middle East. And Hammer was as valuable in Athens, which you might be headed to. Valuable in Helsinki. You know what? I could have also gotten another suitcase, but um, you know what? It might depend on what I'm traveling to. So okay, so I could take 4 things to Venice, so I didn't have to sell that thing that I sold. Um, I was tossing a coin to the waters of the Trevi Fountain when the Ursaglari marched into the square with their distinctive fast jog and began rounding everyone up. Try slip away before they reach me, an old instinct to avoid the attention of the soldiery, whether guilty or innocent of any crime. Alas, there were too many of them to avoid. Lanky man with only the sparse beginnings of a mustache gestured at me with his rifle. I moved since the rifle was attached to his shoulder in place of an arm. Perhaps it might fire as easily as a normal man might make a gesture. Just then, someone jostled me from behind. I turned to see a figure in gray reaching into their pocket and then tossing out a grenade. I am no fool. I ran for my life. It is the Zouave and eagerly fleet-footed woman declared. They hate the Scola for what they have done to the young people. I did not know what she meant until she tapped her shoulder, then pointed at the blue-eyed, augmented soldier I had met earlier. As I slowed to a walk and then made my way back to our hotel, I could not help it to see more signs of the Scola's influence in Rome. Cobblers strapped into gleaming exoskeletons, glass blowers with ceramic hands, porcelain face automata, fetching water and stoking fires, and even soliciting passing tirade alongside working girls in scandalously low-cut dresses. Perhaps Rome is the future. I confess I do not know. As Fanfare's exploration, learning ways in which we might travel onwards. There was a regular service shuttling people north from Rome to Venice, and the edge of the mountains. In fact, there were two. One was most definitely for the upper classes, however, so we chose that. Not that our ride was comfortable, but at least the route was quick. Greetings, Monsieur Chauffeur. Suck. Yes, my friend. I'm told they say the whole city is a ship. Hardly seems important. Is it possible to go from Venice to Belgrade? Have you heard that there is neither bank nor market in Belgrade? One more can tell me, does anyone know what happened to Belgrade? Oh, that. Alright, so that didn't help me at all. The journey was uneventful and I spent it resting. Could earn us well here. I think we can complete our general traveler site here for protection against uncomfortable conditions. I was walking along a canal side in Venice when I found myself in the midst of a group of revelers. They wore a fabulous array of masks, some beak-nosed, others brightly feathered, and even some spun of flying glittering wire. I bowed in greeting and gave them such a surprise that one tripped and turned and then tumbled into the canal. Her friends seemed drunkenly unconcerned and fell about in pealing laughter as the woman cursed and thrashed in the dark water. I dove to the rescue, reaching her in a few strokes. Allures, the water was cold. She kicked and fought as I hauled her to a nearby flight of steps. Fiammetta is the daughter of the canal, one of her friends put in. You should have left her in it. Another drunken youth agreed. It's the only time she bathes. Fiammetta coughed and choked as I hauled her from the water. I looked her over. Her mask was long gone, and her fine clothes ruined, but her eyes gleaming. "Who are you?" she demanded, seeming to see me for the first time. Her friends made various kissing noises and suggested a variety of improbable roles for me. A clown, one said. No, another interjected, an agent of the Pope. Yet another added sotto voce, Fiammetta's foreign lover, which caused them all to laugh as Fiammetta cursed them with admirable thoroughness. "Are you alright?" I asked with some concern. "Of course," she replied haughtily, wringing out her hair. "I am Venetian. I cannot drown. It is simply not possible." "Do not mind Fiammetta," her friend remarked softly. "She is angry because of her work and because of what happened to her brother." "What happened to her brother?" "Sophos happened to him," Fiammetta interjected, scowling. "And now that blasted Greek has joined with the Scola." "What did Sophos do to your brother?" She turned her face slightly and dropped her voice. "I do not want to talk about it." She spat in the canal. "If you chance to take the airship from Rome to Athens, you might meet Signor Sophos. Put a knife in his heart before he takes yours." Oops. Go back. I will give him your love, I promise ambiguously. Fiammetta laughed darkly, and one of her friends took her arm. Leave such thoughts for another night, he advised, pulling her away. I returned to Munster fog, still somewhat damp. I was waiting my turn at a gondola rank near the Rialto Bridge when a gondolier from across the canal waved frantically to catch my attention. I recognized that voice, Mandu. It was the very woman I pulled from the canal the night before. I waved her over, having tired of waiting in line. She made a sharp turn through the water, earning the ire of several other boatmen who had to swerve to avoid her. Fiammetta, the booking agent who ran the rank, shook his fist in her direction. Leave my customers alone. You deserve no customers, Zorzi, Fiammetta shouted back, ignoring me entirely. Was it possible she did not remember me? Those creatures of yours are not gondoliers. They know nothing of the soul of Venice. I did not understand her meaning. So I peered at one of the gondolas in the rank. Pablo, the oarsmen at the stern, were machines of extraordinary beauty, their bodies made of inlaid copper and azure Venetian glass, their faces covered by fine feathered carnival masks. Ignore my automaton gondoliers are the pride of Venice, Zorzi insisted breathlessly as he reached me. They are guaranteed safe by the Scuola, our local artificers guild. Fiammetta here is a troublemaker. From the water, Fiammetta called, I am a true gondolier. Into Fiammetta's gondola. I prefer people to machines, I told Zorzi with a shrug. Fiammetta gave him a perfectly executed mocking curtsy as we pulled away, no mean feat, while also holding an oar and balancing on the prow of the low craft. Zorzi supported the Risorgimento, the Italian unification, Fiammetta told me as she pushed us forward. Now he is a bootlicker of the Scuola and dabbles in their infernal mechanicals. I've seen the guilds work in Rome, I told her. She took a deep breath. It is an open secret that Scuola run Italy. In all but name, the king is their puppet. We are a kingdom run by artificers. The terrible same directly influencing governance was against the artificer's creed, but it seemed the Scuola had some revolutionary ideas of its own. The gondola slid onward. I listened as Fiammetta raged against her Scuola. The Scuola has money and power and their infernal devices. They are an impossible enemy. She gave me a sharp look before tugging a length of gray and red braid from her cap and handing it to me. But there are those who fight. Though the Zouave will never surrender to the Scuola. Perhaps, my friend, you are one of us. I took the braid and nodded. She smiled and gave me a small, sincere salute. We lapsed in silence. We rode past palazzos and Gothic churches, each more grand than the last. Fiammetta giving me a potted history of Venice in her own idiosyncratic style. It seemed the foundations were being fitted with water pumps to push water downwards and thereby lift the city up. Scuola will make Venice into a ship. Fiammetta told me, no doubt they will sail it around the world to make war. I did not like the thought of a city of artificers who had broken from the guild's credo, roaming free about the world. And your character is now organized. Alright, I think there was something I could sell for something. I thought that's what the dude said. Okay, well, let me check the other routes. Alright, so we're gonna go to Budapest, but don't arrive till Thursday. As night fell, I went out to explore a little, but found nothing of any particular interest. Oh. I mean, I have to wait till Thursday, so I'm just waiting till the bank opens. As I might as well take out some money if I'm gonna be waiting, you know, the extra day. Oh, okay, that's what that's for. Oh, okay, that's what those buttons are for. Now, what's this for? Overview? Oh. Okay. Alright. So that's kind of cool. There's nothing else for me to really do. But so far, I mean, this seems like it's a pretty cool game. Alright, bank should be open up soon. And bank. Once Sir Fox snapped shut his ledger, let us see if this bank can offer us a good return for our time. I regarded the manager of the local financial institution, well-dressed, calm gentleman who met us with practiced interest. You want to make a withdrawal? The manager asked. You may have to wait a day or two. We require £700, I said. The manager nodded. I will have to communicate with London first, of course. He apologized. I should have a reply tomorrow. It seems Mr. Fogg remarked as we left, we have some time to dispose of. We're gonna bank tomorrow, collect your funds. Alright, so I don't think there's anything else to do in the market. Yeah, so hotel this shit. For retirement. Before retiring, I spent a few hours walking around. To my surprise, I came across a tired-looking English gentleman and his valet begging on the side of the road. I inquired into their misfortune and learned that they had been traveling around the world and falling victim to heavy thefts. My heart went out to them, of course, and I gave them 200 pounds to get them back on their feet. Then I tipped my hat and moved away. Funds have gone down by a fair amount. Funds will be ready to collect when the bank opens. Tapping the clock will skip time forwards. Oh. Oh, okay, that's cool. Turn to the bank at opening time to collect our funds, and then we were ready to proceed once more. By good fortune, we happened upon a tradesman who was setting off for Budapest in the early evening with a cartload of supplies. We hopped cheerfully aboard. Greetings, Monsieur Federico. Yes, Passepartout. What is it? What can you tell me of Budapest? The Artificers Guild has no presence in Budapest. Is it possible? Sounds unlikely to me. Enough talking. Our journey was marked by strange noises from the back of the car, but our driver did not wish to tell us what our cargo was. I was overcome by natural curiosity, so his attempt at subterfuge only lasted as long as it took us to reach the first refueling point on the winding mountain road. There's a hatch in the cabin. I opened it and looked through, but cannot see nothing in the darkness of the rear of the van, except perhaps for small things on legs moving, things like golden crabs. Then the driver returned, and I quickly whipped back round in my seat, none the wiser and twice as curious. We passed by a spectacular road that curved down a vertiginous slope. Its beauty enthralled me, and I did not want the journey to end. While Monsieur Fogg was eager to be moving on and did not wait in the cab a second longer than needed, this man supplying the Artificers Guild with something, Fogg remarked as we disembarked. He has the lily tattoo under his arm. And not in agreement, it was the only plausible explanation. I had not realized artificers ship their goods around using private individuals. I suppose I had assumed they wired goods to each other through glass tubes or such like, but as always the truth was more prosaic than any imagining. Alright, I guess we'll sell a couple things. I don't know if I should get this or this. Nah, I'll get this. A dusty jacketed Englishman at our hotel recommended a restaurant called Clements in Monsieur Fogg. The Magyars make an excellent broth. He promised ominous words indeed. I had never really been one for... Advice from Dusty Jack Fellows, nor that matter English on a subject of station. Monsieur Frog was sad in the matter, however. Could not argue in the sight and said so genteelly in the manner of a well-trained chambermaid. We settled to dinner at Clemens, where our soup arrived at gleaming silver tureen. My master, man of possibly high standards, even remarked upon the tureens' flawless polish. At which point it exploded, splattering myself, Monsieur Frog, and an extremely bewildered waiter. Admittedly delicious salmon broth. A fellow diner had been struck by the edge of the tureen lid and was bleeding from the temple. I rushed to his aid, pressing a napkin to his head while my master looked on unperturbed. The head chef had by this time emerged from the kitchen. He pointed towards the wall and began a voluble rant which needed little translation. The broth had splattered the ivory wall in the intricately curved shape of a lily, unmistakably the symbol of the Artificers Guild. I beckoned over to a waiter who attempted an apology in a mix of halting English and German. Never mind that, I cried. The lily, I assume indeed, he said miserably. The guild has gone too far this time. I looked around the chaos caused by a single bowl of exploding soup. I've never seen such a mess. Our waiter sighed. We will, of course, offer you reimbursement for your interrupted meal, he declared. It hardly made a difference, so I accepted nonetheless. My stomach made unseemly grumbles as we walked back along the elegantly lit and newly macadamed Adrassi Avenue. We had seemingly gloat, but I cannot resist. I knew nothing good could come of a broth. Oh, relations with Fogg have deteriorated. Your character is now well healed. Okay. Walk the streets a while, discovering possibilities for how we might make progress. Yeah, because from here I don't really got options. I was hoping to go maybe to, like, Bucharest from here, maybe even from Vienna to Berlin, but I mean, you know. But yeah, I don't really have much options. So... took a room and settled in. I went to stretch my legs where I saw a cheerful Turkish artist and a heated conversation with a shopkeeper, from which I learned it can sometimes be prudent not to get involved. I came away with a relations with Fogg have grown slightly worse. Okay then. Alright, well, that's my only option, I think. Shit! That sucks. With the last light of evening, I went to explore a little and found a charming Slavic youth who had lost a monocle, which I hoped to recover, and from whom I discovered that you could pick up stopwatches and you can sell profit in Moscow. I thanked him and he shrugged and went about his affairs. Oh, and I can only take... Oh, what is this? Can't do anything about that, though. Looks like if I went that way, I could have. I can only take 2 cases. There's not really much in the way of options. Hire extra space. Oh, if I knew that, I would have taken other trips. It's like the Orient Express company ran a spur line from Budapest that swept down the length of Europe to Athens. It originally stopped midway at Belgrade. But since that city's almost destruction, the last confrontation between the Austro-Hungarians and the Ottomans, the train now went straight through. It was a wonder there were not more bombs placed aboard continental trains such as these. Greetings, Madame Guard. Show me your ticket first, please. Yes, Monsieur, how can I help you? I'm sure you know all about Thessaloniki. Here's something you can get to Istanbul from Thessaloniki aboard the Istanbul Express. How's it go, friends? If you think you're out of luck there, but tell me you are holiday makers? No, indeed, we're going around the world. You're going around the world, you say? How remarkable. And we're at Istanbul, so it's the only city the world straddle 2 continents. Oh, from Istanbul, I believe so. Antalya can be reached from Istanbul by public carriage, but the journey is a tiring one. Some more about Antalya. Antalya is one of the most beautiful places on Earth. Like knowing to expect it, could not help but gasp as we swept through the empty husk of Belgrade. It seemed home only to ghosts, trees, and bushes. Trees and bushes grew from the tall buildings and through empty window frames, but we did not spy a single human being. Quite what had happened, no one truly knew. The roads, houses, viaducts were all still standing. The gas lamps still burned, but not a single voice cried out, and not a door or shutter moved. I asked Monsieur Fogg his thoughts, and he sighed. I fear that our age is seeing a great experimentation in warfare, much as in every other walk of life. I hope you are wrong. Yeah, I am not, he replied, but at least the trains move faster. His answer seemed to me as bleak as Belgrade itself, but as the Orient Express left it behind, it carried us towards a long evening of gentle wines and candlelight, which went some way towards lightening the soul. What is your wish, Master Passepartout, what trouble have you arranged just now? How are you feeling, Monsieur? I am in roaring health, but we must make haste. How's our progress, Monsieur? Day 14, I believe our journey continues. Arrive at Thessaloniki Station, northern Greece. In the morning, we disembarked without delay. Relations with Fog have improved. That's good. Even though the purchase today, we should explore a little. The people of the city are crazy. They go out in the evenings to tear down what remains of their city wall. I have never seen such a thing. They are unpaid laborers for their stay. If this were France, we would be protesting. We would be chanting and singing songs of defiance. But these people work, and worse yet, they enjoy their servitude. I stopped a young woman and asked what they were doing, but she only laughed in my face. You may not know our city now, she replied, not in the least bit answering my question, but soon we will encompass the entirety of northern Greece. I remarked that it seemed unlikely. That I'm going to say a mighty prize. I agreed in earnest, and she nodded widely before raising the sledgehammer she had brought along for the occasion. She set about the ancient walls once more, and I stayed nearby and helped out, but though I got into the spirit of the action, I must be honest, I did not enjoy it. I am a gentleman, and my handiwork is delicate. Oh, but I don't have a hammer. Oh. So I got a hammer or something? Okay. As I find, a few hours walking around succeeded only in having my pocket picked to the tune of 26 pounds. The fuck, dude. Alright, I think I was gonna try to go to Istanbul. Boarded train promptly despite a crazed man who blocked our path. He was trying to tell me something. I moved him gently. Trying to tell me something, and I paused to listen. The artificers, he hissed, they aren't content just to make, believe me, they long to destroy. Asked him how he could be certain, but he merely tapped the side of his nose and answered, wires. We nodded farewell and stepped onto the train. Greetings, Madame Apostles. Passepartout, my dear. I need to know about Istanbul. The Grand Bazaar is not to be missed. I've gathered Antalya can be reached from Istanbul by public carriage, but the journey is a tiring one. Speaking of carriages, I understand there's a daily service from Yadimban to Rangoon, but the journey is a tiring one. A cigar, perhaps, Madame Apostles? Why, yes. Antalya is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Oh, really, Monsieur? The route from Antalya to Baghdad, I wish I knew, but some buyers will pay well for woolen clocks from Baghdad. What more can you tell me about Baghdad? Let me tell you that you can pick up ancient artifacts in Baghdad that will sell for a fortune in Dubai. Also, train from Thessaloniki to Istanbul appear to be determined to go the long way round, as if the builders had preferred to stay in sight of the sea at all times for the good of their health. I enjoyed a fresh air myself, of course, with the sun shining. The agency was quite beautiful, and I could have been happy lazing by its shore if it were not for the importance of speed in our mission. On board, I fell in with a middle-aged Greek couple who were going to Istanbul to meet their daughter. Asked them about journeys Middle East, but they shrugged. Their daughter studying in Alexandria, the mother said. So we've been to Egypt, to Luxor, the tombs there are most incredible. We never crossed the Red Sea. Train pulled up at Circassi Terminal, and I waved the couple off as we disembarked. Relations with fog have improved slightly. Let's see what I can do from Istanbul. Saturday. Shit. I think this departure could be discussed. Alright, I guess that's gonna be the plan. I woke this morning in the silks of an Ottoman harem girl. Worse yet, I was in the forbidden woman's apartment of Topkapi Palace. I had no memory of the previous night, at least. Then I wished to record, but quickly ascertained the peril of my opposition. Having no claim to Ottoman royalty and little desire to find myself drafted into the ranks of the eunuch guard, I bent my mind to thoughts of escape. There was only one option. Just a veil over my face, put a sway into my hips, and brazen it out. Alas, the morning light was less forgiving to my disguise. After some confusion, shouting, and dashing about, I scaled one of the outer walls using a palm tree, and despite some regrettable wear to my dashing silks, I arrived outside the walls in one piece. I found Mentor Fogg reading a newspaper. Back at our lodgings, he looked up and blushed a most violent shade of red as he took in my attire, setting his cup down with uncharacteristic force. I gave my master much grief my ventures, but do not think he really understood. Still, I stammered through my words before we settled in to consider the next course of our journey. Relations with Frog have deteriorated slightly. Oh. I fetch you good prices. Goods from across Europe were taken by a steam carriage across the Ottoman Empire. We found a shipment heading for Antalya and jumped aboard. The driver was a young boy who wore thick, darkened goggles and headscarf tied tight around his head to keep out the dust. He looked terribly hot, I thought, and uncomfortable, especially sitting so close to the main boiler. Are you not uncomfortable? This is my favorite place in the whole world, he laughed. Now hold on. I grabbed one of the side rails of the carriage as he stoked the fire, opened the steam valve, and took off at terrific speed up the road. Okay, it does. Alright. 1 second, I need to handle something. Okay. I'm ready. I didn't realize the football game already started. I forgot that I think they play 2 games. They have 2 Monday night games tonight. I think that's how it works. And so that's what I put on. Earlier I was watching Pokemon. Now I'm watching football. Hold on. There's one more thing I gotta do. I gotta go back into the stream. Okay, there we go. And let's continue on with our lives. Greetings, driver. Don't worry, you won't distract me from the road. Until instantaneous, one must be places incredible. Route from Antalya to Baghdad, I don't know, but some buyers will pay well for woolen clocks. Tell me, do you drive? No, I prefer not to. Leave it to professionals. Very good idea. We have a timetable for routes from Antalya to Beirut. You've mentioned boats. I've been told one can travel from Pyongyang to Vladivostok, but the journey is a tiring one. What more can you tell me about Vladivostok? Also, the quickest way to Vladivostok from here is through Herat. And more about Herat, not just that, but you can buy tea sets in Herat worth a huge amount in Agra. And got new routes discovered. Soon the sea was far behind us, and we were making our way along winding roads, tossing from one side to the other. The boy took each corner with easy familiarity, moving the steering lever with quick, flickering motions. You have been to Istanbul before, the boy demanded. You are frequent travelers? We're going around the world, I replied cheerfully. Around the world, the boy laughed wildly. How I would love that. When I grow up, I will be an adventurer. You have the spirit for it, I agreed. As though to prove me right, he steered with ever more savage abandon. About your service, Monsieur Frog. Passepartout. May I shave you, Monsieur? Shave away and make it close. Our funds. We are quite comfortable, I must say. You have been most cautious so far. What have you learned about Antalya? I have nothing against you personally, President, but I rarely talk to servants. Oh. Give me 1 second. Alright. That night we slept in the carriage, which unfolded rather cleverly to form a tent. I discovered a certain detail during the night, which I will share here, but nowhere else. As I went to stretch my legs prior to attempting to sleep, I came across a driver a short distance from the carriage, sans headscarf and goggles. About this disguise, it was quite obvious that our driver was not a boy at all. He was not even human. Monsieur Frog was oblivious, sleeping quite comfortably. My master chooses to regard the world thus, behind closed lids, the next day. I remember I had been told about this driver back at the World's Fair, so I could not remain quiet. I believe I met the artificer who made you, I told him. Why do you hide yourself? I could see a flush rise between the goggles and scarf. It is the arrangement made with my father, came the reply. He would not let me out here, driving on my own, if my nature were known. I can understand that. The world is changing. I answered sympathetically. It will not always be as it is now. Driver nodded, but did not reply, and we continued the journey amicably, if somewhat more quietly than before. A few more hours passed, and we arrived within sight of the sea once more. Relations with Fox have improved slightly. Alright, well this was part of the reason why I even went here. To sell this $4,000, get $4,000 for a mask. Sell this here too. Alright, this is worth more somewhere else, so I'll hold on to that. And then I'll hold on to this even though I don't think I'm gonna be able to go to Moscow from here. But maybe it'll be worth more money elsewhere, I don't know. Might not be. Alright, let me... I think you have made an excellent trade. That I did. Seems like the only option really is to go to Beirut. And that doesn't arrive till Monday. This is why I got the big bucks. Alright. Oh, since I'm going to Beirut. I had something that I could have sold at Beirut. Or was it something that could have gone from the market that I saw? Or was that something I just picked up? Oh, this was. Okay. So, that being said... Stay at the hotel. I spent my afternoon rambling about... Khaleesi? I don't know how that's supposed to be announced. Historical center of Antalya, which was where I happened upon a group of Turkish dockhands unloading crates of Venetian goods into a warehouse flying the French flag. They had a passable grasp of French, no doubt, a prerequisite of working for the French employer, one Monsieur Fontaine. Though we never met him, one of them added bitterly. Is he a good employer? I asked politely, simply to make small talk. Alas, my innocent inquiry was not taken as such. Why do you ask? The dockhand fired back, crossing his arms. Perhaps you are Monsieur Fontaine. My name is Passepartout. I protested. A likely story was their retort. That is not even a real name, a most hurtful accusation. And despite my protests to contrary, the idea of their master masquerading as a tourist was not to be dislodged. After resigning myself to the role, I gave a booming laugh, the sort of the Monsieur Fontaine of my imaginings would boom. What? What the fuck? Wait, what? Okay, sorry about that. Got distracted by the football game because alright, so Jets are playing Detroit Lions. Hold on. Okay. So the Jets got an interception, which could only be expected from from Matthew Stafford, but as the dude was running, he got hit from the side, fumbled the ball, and then Detroit recovered. So how lucky and fortunate that was. All right. So, alas, behind his bluff exterior, he had only recently suffered heartbreak. Edith, his wife of 20 years, had perished in a mysterious fire in our villa upon the Black Sea. Thus, I was ensconced in my role. I spent a cheerful, if deceptive afternoon getting to know my employees and inspecting the merchandise. They cracked open a crate to reveal a treasure trove of Venetian glass, glittering blue-green in the Anatolian sun. Like this glass, I too have come from Venice, I remarked. Though my journey was perhaps less comfortable, I took my leave as quickly as possible before they began demanding pay rise from me. Made my way back to my own equally mysterious employer. Relations with Fogg have improved slightly. The Nefertiti was a tall, massive Egyptian clipper that sailed around the coastline from Antalya all the way to Alexandria. I asked the skipper if he had considered longer voyages. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I'll ask him. I asked Skipper if he had considered longer voyages via the Suez Canal, but he only laughed. The fees, young man, are quite extortionate. How extortionate, I asked. He gave me a pointed look. You will not buy me or my boat, he replied. If that is your intention, my liberty is worth more coin than you have. I nodded, and we did not pursue the conversation further. Hey, what is this? Cigar, excellent. The evening drew on, and the crew served gin slings with great cheer, the captain nodding to me as the liquor was poured. Enjoy, he called, for as long as you are with us. I saluted him with my glass and savored the cool drink as the sun went down in fire and smoke across the sea. seems like the only thing I can do is go to Alexandria. That's it. Yeah, totally missed out on Russia and all that. Oh well. Found no true hotel, only a boarding house of rooms around a central courtyard in which I found dance and various people sat and talked in hushed tones. As I looked about, I found something suspect in a pair of eyes I met, so... Naturally, I was curious and introduced myself to a likely-looking pair. They had just arrived from Baghdad and were full of the glories of that city. Tell me more, I demanded, so the woman, one Madame Azir, enthused about the generous hospitality and warm welcome expected from all Baghdadis. I shall look forward to it, I declared cheerfully. Madame Nazir and her male companion took their leave from the Fan side, insisting on recommending a spot in town where he might find a driver to Baghdad before going. I was left sitting beside Fountain, listening to the whispering water until I retired. Alright, cool. Gotta... Because before it looked like, okay, MC... Because it looked like I would have to go to Alexandria and then go down, but no, I can just cut across. Kind of wanted to go here because I think I had stuff I could sell there, but it might not be the case. So we're going to embark. Oh shit. Okay then. It won't even let me add extra, so let me... I have like 5 cases, I'm only allowed 3, so... No, I'm not gonna go to Berlin. Or Moscow. Or Helsinki, I don't think. Hold on.